What's up, Pod Pals? It's your buddy Adam, and you are checking out Podcasting Business School. This is the show where I teach podcasters how to love their show like a hobby, but build it like a business. If you're looking for some podcasting tips on how to launch a podcast, how to grow a podcast, how to monetize a podcast, especially that last one today, you're in the right place. We're going to be talking about some sponsorship tips, how the heck to get your podcast monetized with sponsorship. And I've got Allie Melody, the sponsorship queen from the brand new Sponsorship Scoop podcast. You may know her from Food Heals as well. One of my favorite pod pals, one of my oldest pod pals that I've known. We've kind of grown up in this cohort together, and we love to collaborate and create content together. So Allie Melody, welcome back to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Adam. What's up, Pod Pals? I'm so glad to be here.
So you're my go-to resource with sponsors, and you're all that I need. Like I know I can go to you, I can get the latest updates on what's working, what's not working, what's a good use of time, what's a waste of time. So each and every year, everybody that's a subscriber, you just got to get used to Allie coming on the show and giving us an update on what's legit right now in the world of sponsorship. So I'm really excited to kind of kick this off. I know you've got some new processes. You got a brand new show. Maybe let's start there. Like we just launched the Sponsorship Scoop. And so tell us about why you decided to do that and what the show is about.
Sure. Well, what I realized was all of these amazing podcasters with great shows and some with pretty engaged audiences were holding themselves back from sponsorship for a bunch of reasons. But the main reasons that I found were they just didn't know how to go about it. They didn't know how to build a sponsorship deck. They didn't want to pay a designer. So they're in this place where they're like, I've got great content. I'm producing great content every week. I've got an engaged audience who hang on my every word. I've cultivated this group of super fans who love to buy anything that I'm selling. And I know I could make money with sponsorships, but I just don't even know where to start. I don't want to reach out and email someone and say, hi, give me money. And so what I did was I systematized the process. So I have a 6 steps to sponsorship success process that I created based on my success with Food Heals. So like you, I started my original show about over 6 years ago now, Food Heals. And what happened was we were sponsored in the first month. We had 100,000 downloads by the third month, and we were monetized by the second month. So what happened was I realized that I had cracked this code that a lot of other podcasters hadn't cracked. So I was like, oh, everyone was asking me, I thought they were going to say, my show's Food Heals. I thought they were going to say, hey, what time should I take this probiotic and how do I make a green juice? Instead, they were like, how do I start a podcast and get my show sponsored? So I was like, okay, let me teach this. And so I've been teaching this all across the world. I've taught it at conferences like We Are Podcast Movement, Sundance Film Festival, Podfest, She Podcast. And so I just fell into something that I feel really passionately about because as podcasters, we have a message and a mission to share with the world. Why not partner with other brands and partner with them so that they can share their mission on our show and we can get paid to podcast and then everybody wins.
Well, I really love what you just said there with the envisioning the brand partnership, because sometimes podcasters, us silly podcasters, we have those dreams of like, I'm going to start a show and then I'm going to have all these sponsorship dollars rolling in and then I'm going to drive my Lambo and it's going to say podcaster on the license plate. And there's a lot more work. Like you need to come in with a partnership mindset of, okay, there's work involved in this and you have to produce and you have to build a podcasting vessel to run all these ads through and build and nurture relationships with a dedicated audience. So for any of you that got into the game, with those big dreams, keep those big dreams, but also realize that there is some work. Now, the good thing about knowing Allie Melody is that she knows how to streamline everything and she knows how to make this as easy and as straightforward as possible. So you sent me your new process. I freaking love it. Everybody that listens to the show knows I love checklists. They know I love processes. They know I love steps that I can go through and graduate from. So let's go through your 6 steps to sponsorship success. Let's go.
All right. Well, step 1 is to gain clarity, which means you got to be super clear in your messaging. Okay. This is going to make all the difference. And I want to say there are 6 steps, and I'll go through them as quickly as I can. But just know, don't skip a step. Because if you skip one, you're going to have to go back at some point and repeat it. So why not just go in order, get it right the first time? Don't make all the mistakes that other podcasters are made. I've laid this out for you. So step one for your sponsorship success strategy is to get extremely clear on your messaging. Well, what does that mean? That means you have to understand your mission and vision so clearly that your audience does too, and that all the content that you create solves the pain points of those that you want to serve. This is how you cultivate those super fans, the people who know, like, and trust you. These are the people who will defend you to the death from your detractors and haters. They're the ones that'll talk about you, spread the word about you for free, tell everyone to listen to your show, and promote you and buy all of your products and services. But first, we have to attract them. So, like, think about on Instagram, we all want followers. On our email list, we want subscribers. And podcasting, it's all about the downloads, right? But we do not want listeners, followers, or subscribers who are not in alignment with our messaging, who are
Right.
not our super fans. That's just a waste of our email list, right? We only want to attract those who we can help and serve with our message. So it's so important to get so clear in the beginning what your message is, so you're not all over the place, right? The riches are in the niches. I know you talk about that too. So do you have a mission statement? If not, that's number one. Write down your mission statement. What is the mission and vision of your podcast, of your show? And second, do you have an ideal listener profile? Also can be called an avatar. If not, write one right now. Who is the person? Give them a name. What is their age range? What do they do for a living? What are their problems that you can solve? Once you've clarified your mission and your ideal listener profile, you have one job from now on. That is to post content in alignment with that mission that serves that listener. And that's it. Okay, for step one. That is how you're going to cultivate those super fans. That's how you're going to get to the growth that you need to be able to attract sponsors. That's also in the future very important, because when you are working with your sponsors, you want to make sure that they are in perfect alignment with your mission and that their products and services will serve your audience. So that's step one.
Okay. And like we can use some of our own shows as examples here just to get people's idea factory cooking here. So, like with my health show, Low Carb Hustle, we're really trying to serve people that are in that low carb diet space, ketogenic diet space, people that are on a weight loss journey. Usually they're age 40 plus. With Low Carb Hustle, we have a little more male clientele, male listeners, but with my original weight loss show, Million Pound Mission, it was like 80 to 90% female. But like just understanding at that level and then understanding their pain points, because that's again where we're going to develop content to solve those pain points and affiliate partnerships to solve those pain points. So yeah. All right, let's go. Step two.
Sure. Excuse me. Step two, which is something that I know you're very passionate about with your Download Growth Club, is to grow. It's to increase those download numbers and cultivate those super fans. So now you've got your mission and vision and you know who you want to attract. Podcast growth is all about listener attraction, attracting your ideal listeners who know, like, and trust you. So in step one, we talked about how to do that, mentally, what we want to attract. But now we got to talk about, hey, let's go and do this. So there are 2 free ways that you can start to do this and 2 paid ways. So I'll go through them quickly. And Adam, I know that you promote these as well, so they're probably not new to your audience, but you can do podcast shout out exchanges. So find other podcasts, join a lot of groups on Facebook, go network at conferences, and do shout outs of shows that you like that are in alignment that your audience would like too. They call you out, you're exposed to their audience, you call them out, you're exposed to their audience, and it just goes on from there. It's a great way just to share the love and to get exposed to new audience who may come over and follow your show. Then, of course, you can do guesting on other people's podcasts. We know that's a huge part of most podcaster strategies, and just make sure that you're getting on shows that are in alignment with your audience that you want to cultivate. And that way, when those listeners come over, you are attracting that ideal audience. And then there are 2 paid ways that I love to do this. You can actually advertise on other people's podcasts. So when we started Food Heals, I went into a company called Midroll, which connects podcasters with sponsors. I went in not as the podcaster, I went in as the sponsor. And I said, Food Heals wants to sponsor some shows. And so Midroll helped me negotiate deals with other podcasters where the host would talk authentically about Food Heals. So we had our biggest successes were Rich Roll and Ben Greenfield. They're both males talking about, hey, there's these girls doing Food Heals. They call them Sex in the City for Food. So all these people came over from their shows because their listeners already know, like, and trust Ben and Rich. So they came over to our show, and that cost me a little bit of money, but the money was so well spent because I could see the people coming over from all the reviews that were left that were like, I heard about you on Rich Roll. I heard about you on Ben Greenfield. So definitely a good place to put your money. Better than things like Facebook and Instagram ads, which can work for a lot of things. But this is super targeted because you're going where your people are. They're already listening to podcasts. Another thing you can do, which Adam, you are so passionate about and you have taught me a lot about, is to advertise on podcast players. And I'd love to hear your update on what's working now. But there are so many players like Spotify and Overcast where you can advertise your show. People can click on it or they can listen to an ad, whether it's on Spotify, you can create your own ad, or they'll just be scrolling on their app and they'll say, oh, here's an ad, Sex in the City for Food. That sounds great. Click, subscribe, download, and then you have a listener. And they'll actually show you the exact stats of how many people came over and subscribed to your show. So that's step 2, is to grow your show with paid and free ways.
So I'm loving the clarity and the path that you're creating for us so far, Allie, because, all right, step 1, we need to know who we're trying to impact.
Mm-hmm.
Step 2, go and get as many of those people as possible. As we obviously create great content and we're consistent with our content and all the steps that you outlined there. I love the podcast shout outs. I call them podcast promo intro swaps. So I've got episodes on that. I'll link those in the show notes for everybody that's listening to the audio. And that way you've got that. So I've got like a template that I use and everything. I've got scripts. I had a client that knocked out 10 of those in under half an hour, and her podcast numbers doubled the next month after all those had gone live. And just,
Wow.
half an hour work, no big deal.
Yeah.
So those are super, super effective. So let's talk about outreach. Step 3, now we got to get out there and people are like, all right, when do we actually start talking to sponsors? And I think Allie's about ready to tell us.
Yes, I am. So the first thing you want to remember is that no one likes a cold email. So when a lot of people think about outreach, they're like, oh, do I just email a company I want to work with? No, because the company's never heard of you. And they probably, like, you get so many emails throughout the day, they're just not going to get answered, right? It's very unlikely. And so I like to create warm leads. So the way to do that is to start building relationships with potential sponsors that you want to work with. So first, identify who are some companies who are in alignment with your mission and vision. Or when I started, I went to the products I was using around my house, in my kitchen, in my bathroom cabinets, makeup, organic, vegan, skincare, that type of thing. And I was like, these are companies I can absolutely talk authentically about because I use every single day. And so what you want to do to get them to know, like, and trust you, just like you want your listeners to, is you can start adding to the conversations they're having on social media, showing them who you are, that you are a person of value, and show yourself using their products and services. You can tag the brands in your post, you can compliment the brand. So add, show, tag, compliment. So whatever they're talking about on social media, if they're all over Twitter, you be all over Twitter, adding to that conversation. Don't be controversial. Add to the conversation in a meaningful way. Show yourself using their products and services. If I wanted to work with this beautiful mug company here, what are they called? Lily Pulitzer. I would show myself on my stories being like, I love this Lily Pulitzer mug. It keeps my coffee warm all day. I'm obsessed with it, you guys. Here's where you can buy it, right? I'll do that for free at first because I'm showing the brand, hey, I'm actually a super fan of your brand. So if you want to work with me in the future, you're telling them this telepathically, I'm going to go above and beyond for you because look, I'm already doing it for free. Okay. So you want to show yourself using their products and services. You can post about them. And then you can make sure you're tagging them in all those posts, all those stories. Make sure you're complimenting them. Flattery will get you everywhere. We know this in life. And then start DMing them, start having conversations. If they're doing polls in their stories, start answering their polls. This way, when you are ready to reach out, they already know your name. You're already a person of value in their eyes. You're already a super fan. They want to talk to their super fans, and then they go, oh my gosh, she wants to collab. It's a big why not, right? So when you do make the sponsorship ask, you've already cultivated these conversations, you've already built relationships, you are a person of value in their eyes, and it's much more likely that they're going to open those emails, they're going to open those DMs, and they're going to want to work with you.
Beautiful. And I've had success with like an Instagram live product review, like a 10 or 15-minute product review. I've built some health, especially if you're in the health space, because you can talk about protein powder, you can talk
Yeah.
about nutrition bars, supplements, and you just do a little review. My buddy Robert does these all the time. He's got all kinds of relationships, and these people are begging to sponsor a show because now they see like, wow, he's adding value up front, just like what Ali said. Without like, he's a super fan of our brand. He's saying great things without us paying him.
Right.
So how can we level this up a little bit and get in front of his audience a little bit more often? So that's something that's worked really well. I know some podcasters will do content where it's like a product review episode, and you could put something like that out. Maybe you have 5 products that you're loving right now. It could be business products, nutrition, health and fitness, whatever. And then you follow up with those people, send them the link and go, hey, just so you know, I had a very positive experience with your brand and I actually reviewed it on my show. Here's the link. I'd love for you to check it out. Or tag them on social if you have a little highlight video or whatever. But little things like that, like that's how we get through the gatekeeper. There's a hard way to do this and there's an easy way to do this. And if you add value first and you initiate the relationship in that way, instead of, hey, I'm some random podcaster and I want to get some money from you, like
Right.
that's not going to work.
Exactly. You're so right. And I love the idea of reaching out once you've done a podcast about them, then they listen. That's even a better way for them to know, like, and trust you once you get once you get yourself in their ears. It's a great idea.
All right. So let's keep it going. Step 4. I'm ready to talk sponsorship deck.
Okay, so you are at the place where you have started building these relationships and you are ready to reach out. But what you don't want to do is reach out without a plan. You have to have a plan in place for them to choose how they can work with you. So you want to have options available. And so the way that you do that is with a beautiful, professional looking sponsorship deck. Now, I know this scares people sometimes because they're like, I don't want to pay $3,000 for a designer to professionally put this together. I don't know what to put in it. I don't want to design it myself and have it look bad. So don't worry, I've got your back. If you go to foodhealsnation.com/get sponsored, you can download my sponsorship templates. You can pull them up right in Canva or Google Slides or anything that you want to use them in. You can. I've got them for Keynote, etc., PowerPoint. And so you'll have a place to start. And you'll have, okay, first, here's my About Me page. Second, here's what my mission statement is. And I'll take you through each slide so you can just copy and paste your own stuff. You can change the colors, change the fonts, do whatever you want, but it's a great place for you to start. Now, what do you need to include in that sponsorship deck? The number one thing that is most important to include in that sponsorship deck is who your audience is. So, Adam, I have been to so many podcasting conferences. I know you have too. We've hung out and spoken together at a lot of those conferences. And at a few of them, I started walking around to the beautiful sponsorship booths that are set up at the conferences. And I said, what brought you here? And they had a lot of different reasons, but the one reason that every single sponsor had in common was I knew the audience would be a fit for what it is that I'm selling. Okay. So you need to get really clear on who your audience is. So you can survey them, you can offer them an Amazon gift card in exchange or giveaway or something like that in exchange for taking a survey. Find out who they are. What is their age range? What do they like? What are they mothers? Like, find out more about them and then put that in your sponsorship deck. Okay, that's very important. The next most important thing is to have your offers. What are the ways that they can collaborate with you? For podcasters, we have mid-roll ads, we have pre-roll ads, some people do post-roll ads, some people do sponsored interviews, some people do Instagram posts, add-ons. For us, we had write a chapter of our book. We had sponsor a dinner on our Italian retreat that we did prior to the world shutting down. And so you can have all these options so they can a la carte pick and choose what they want to do. And then when you email them, you can suggest, hey, this is what I recommend for you. I'd love to do a sponsored interview and 3 mid-roll ads or something like that. So that's what you want to put in your stunning sponsorship deck. You want to make sure it's beautiful with your colors, make it look really professional. And I can help you do that at foodhealsnation.com/get sponsored.
And this tool is legit. I was at, I think, was the Podfest workshop the first time you like unveiled this on people that I was at? Or
that was the first work. Yes, I believe so. Because I think I created it for that workshop.
Okay.
Yeah.
So people's minds were freaking blown. Like I remember our buddy Andy Storch, and he's like, this is exactly what I needed. And he went out and got sponsors like with it right away.
He's like my number one testimonial on the website.
Yes. So it really works. She's giving it to you for free. And just like when I first heard the term sponsorship deck, just me being real, I had no idea what she was talking about. Like I didn't know what that was. I'm like, what? It's like a slide deck. So basically, if you've got a podcast website and you have would you like to sponsor the show tab or page or whatever, these are the images. This is the slideshow. If you do a video, like this is the step-by-step informational delivery piece and process that you can put on your website, a video, a PowerPoint, whatever. And Allie's got it. And I think most of us are familiar with using Canva. You can go right into Canva. It's right there. This is super easy, super awesome, and super free. And I encourage you all to go and get it right away.
Yes, the Canva templates are actually my most popular and I think my personal favorite. So go for those if you know how to use Canva.
Yeah, Canva's the bomb. All right, we got our deck. Now it's time to pitch. Step 5. Let's talk about pitching and getting some sponsorship relationships cooking.
Yes. Okay. So now it's time to pitch. This is the most exciting part. So there are many ways that you can do this. Start with where are you having the conversation with them right now? So if you have started that Instagram conversation or that Twitter conversation, slide into those DMs and just say, hey, I would love to collaborate. I've got some really cool ideas. Who can I email these ideas to? And usually they'll give you the best person. I do think that still most of my deals are made over email. However, a lot of them have started by me sliding into their Instagram DMs, or a lot of people are using LinkedIn as well. I personally haven't. That's not where I go. But a lot of people in the business world have been sliding into the LinkedIn DMs and making their deals there. So go where the sponsor is, go where you're having those conversations, ask who is the best person to talk to about this, and try to set up a call if you can. You can send your calendar link or you can get their calendar link. That way you can talk face to face, because a lot of deals are made face to face on a Zoom call, or even on the phone is fine too, either way. But if you can get them on the phone or get in front of them with a video, that's always great. And if you just are able to send your sponsorship deck, that's enough. And then what I like to do, because the sponsorship deck might have multiple options, is in the email, I'll say, I recommend this. We do this, and I'll customize it based on their brand, how I see them fitting into my show, and the best way that they can serve my audience so that they can get the best return on their investment, because they're betting on me to make an ROI for them, right? And so then you just want to keep following up, maybe once a week, no more than 2 weeks. If you don't hear back, give them a little space, start going back to the Instagram so they remember you, that type of thing. Don't let them forget you, but don't harass them either. Usually you can make a deal pretty quickly once you've got that warm introduction, once they already like you. But some brands will take time and they'll be like, hey, we don't have anything until Q3. You're in Q1 right now, no problem. Then you follow up with them in Q3. Always do what they ask you to do, and they will really, really appreciate it. Another thing you can do when you follow up, send a quick video on Instagram or on your email, whatever it is, and just be like, hey, I just wanted to follow up because I loved the way this was on, I saw you using this product and I wanted to talk about it, blah, blah, blah. Send a quick video, or like Adam said, hey, I shouted you out on the podcast, just wanted to let you know, here's the episode. And remind them who you are and show your enthusiasm. And you're going to start booking sponsors pretty quickly.
So your approach to this is awesome, because we've set it up. A lot of us are nervous about the pitch, but that's when we're skipping steps. Like you said at the beginning,
yes.
This is step 5 for a reason. Yes. This isn't step 1. It's not step 0. It's not step before step 0. Like sometimes people are like, I'm just going to go out and wing it, bro. I'm like, all right, whatever. Like, this is not going to go well.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to put a public service announcement out there. This is step 5 for a reason, Pod Pals. Go through the other steps. You'll have confidence at this point because you will most likely have engaged with this brand already. You're a familiar face. They're not going to go, who the hell is this? It's you've already added a ton of value. Maybe you've collaborated a little bit. Maybe somebody from their brand has come on your show even, and you've had a conversation. So this is a warmish contact. That's definitely not a cold call. So I just want to remind everybody of that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And look, I still have people once in a while go, I did a cold call and it worked. If it works for you, absolutely go for it. I'm not telling you not to, but like Adam said, it is step 5 for a reason because I'm not the type of person who has the balls to cold call. So I need to do all the steps to get to the place. And it's been super successful for me and my clients for pretty much 6 years now. So I know it's working. It's something that still works today in 2022.
Allie would never be one of those like stockbrokers in the Wolf of Wall Street movie where like just smile and dial. No, that's not going to work. All right. Step 6, so final step in the process here. What do you got for us?
Yeah, so step 6 is the most exciting. This is when you're booking sponsors regularly and it's just time to systematize, scale, and repeat. You got to delegate. This is when perfectionism might come in the way or the thoughts that, well, no one can do it as good as me. Sure, I get it. But you have to get back to creating your content. You got to get back to where you absolutely shine. You want to make sure that you have the time freedom, which is probably why you started this business, right? So you want to get back to making sure you do what you do best, which is create your content, record that podcast. And what happens is once your numbers start growing, sponsors are now approaching you regularly. I know Adam knows this. I know it happened for us pretty quickly, kind of all at once, where I was like, whoa, I'm getting like a daily email of people wanting to talk about collabs and sponsorships. So I don't have time to go through all those emails because that back and forth conversation may lead to nothing. So now it's time to hire a VA to start doing the things that you don't need to be doing so that you can focus on your creativity, on your business, on why you started doing this in the first place. You can have someone making those deals for you, answering those emails. Because let me tell you, the back and forth on these emails can take a lot of your time and it seems like it's never ending. And then someone's got to send the invoice and sign the contract and do all of that. And if that's going to be you for a minute, that's okay. But don't let it happen for too long because then you're, again, trading your time for money. When you could pay a VA a low hourly rate, and then you're basically just taking a little percent out of the sponsorship deal for all the money you're going to make to get your time back. So that's worth it to me. The other thing that you can start doing is looking at working with an agency. There's so many now, like Asa Collective, True Native Media, Midroll, and they will book your sponsors for you and take a percent. So you can just sit back, relax, and do nothing and let them do it all for a percent. And they basically say, do you want the sponsor? Yes or no. You get to decide if it's a fit for you. And then you book it. You say, here's the available dates. They choose the dates. You sign the contract and you're done. I love working with True Native Media. I also work with OSA Collective. And if you find there's a lot now. If you find a booking agency or someone that does this for you, you don't have to do this anymore. You're still going to get those emails though. So what you can do is you could have a part-time VA to answer those emails and also work with your agency, which is where I'm currently at. And it's what works for me. So most of my sponsors are booked by my agency, but those ones that come through email, I'll either toss them to the agency, toss them to the VA, get them taken care of. So it's off of my plate. So that's what you want to do is systematize what you're doing. So how do you systematize? I forgot to say that part. I make videos of exactly how I do things. So just like Adam and I are recording a video right now, I would say, hey, here's how I book my sponsors. I send them this deck. I do it this way. This is what I tell them. This is the email that I send them, that type of thing. And then once someone else learns how to do that, they learn how to speak in your voice because you've already pre-written the content so they can speak in your voice, even though they're not pretending to be you. They're just a representative of your brand. And so once you make those training videos, someone can directly take over those tasks that you've been doing so that you don't have to do them anymore. And once you systematize and delegate, it makes it really easy to just scale and repeat. And that's where we want to be at. So our business is very easy to run. It's out of our hands and we can focus on the creative and recording our amazing interviews.
Yes, well said. And I'm glad that we're painting a picture that there's going to be work involved with this. Again, like I said at the beginning, sometimes, I mean, that even hit me a little bit sideways when we started getting sponsors. I was kind of like, damn, this is more work than I thought it was going to be, because
Yeah.
like you got to obviously record content. You have to remember to put the ads in the right spot. Is this a mid roll? Is this because when I like to record them live in conversation, and I got to remember, like, all right, if I'm doing this live, I got to do it live. Like I have to remember in the mid roll, like I got to do a mid roll read. I'm not inserting it like dynamically or anything. That's just my personal preference. So that takes work. Then, we package together. Ali taught us a great way to package together like social media assets and Instagram reels. And okay, have we done the Athletic Greens Instagram reels, or have we done? I have to check all the check boxes that we are fulfilling what we're promising to do. And then, oh yeah, now they need a screenshot of our download numbers because they want to know that we're actually getting the numbers that we said that we were getting, and they were getting in front of the right amount of people. And did I do my newsletter shout out? So there's a lot of things where, like Ali said at the beginning, you're probably going to be doing these yourself, or one of your close team members. But this is something we definitely want to look to delegate, or you may not be able to hang in there, or you may not be able to have a whole heck of a lot of sponsors because it's so much work. Now, that being said, I know one of the questions that's going to pop up, Ali, is like, yeah, I'm willing to put in the work. I got a decent show. It's growing every month after month, episode after episode. I got a good engaged audience. Where do we start with pricing? Like, I would love to challenge Ali Melody. Like, let's say somebody's got a show and they're doing 500 downloads an episode, 500 to 1,000 downloads an episode. So they're in the top 50 to 80% of podcasts out there as far as what they're doing. Not giant numbers, but I know there's a lot more people in this zone than aren't. So 500 to 1,000 downloads per episode. They want to start a conversation with sponsors. They want to be able to earn, $500 a month from a sponsor. So help us come up with a $500 per month package. It's something we could package together, and you can make up a brand or whatever, target audience. But I just want to get your wheels turned and make you think on the fly a little bit. So 500 to 1,000 downloads per episode, $500 per month sponsorship package. What would you do? What would that look like for you?
Okay, great. So what are we at? 4 episodes a month. So let's just use 1,000. So there are a few different ways to look at the models of payment for sponsorship. So let me talk about that first, and then we'll go to how to get to 500. So if a sponsor is working with an agency, then they know what we refer to as the CPM model, which is cost per mil, which is mil means per 1,000 downloads. So 1,000 downloads is about $18 to $25. So let's just assume, let's aim high. We'll say it's $25 per 1,000. So if you were going to do a monthly sponsorship with 4,000 downloads a month because you have 4 episodes with 1,000, then what are we at? $100, right? So we've got your $100 right there for a mid-roll ad, okay? But I'm just saying that because you may be working with an agency, and if you are, they're going to use that CPM model. Or if you're working with Big Undies or Big Mattress Company, they know the CPM model. But very often, us indie podcasters are working with companies who don't know what the CPM model is. So let's throw that out the window, because I prefer not to use it because it is not enough money for the time that you're going to put in, right?
Preach.
I have a production background. I would never do anything for $25 for 1,000 downloads. That is absurd to me. So I would triple that right there, because I would go, how much is my time worth? So think about how much is your time worth. Let's just say your time is $100 an hour, and each of those sponsorship spots are going to take you, all right, so they're a minute long, but you have to do a couple of takes. So it's going to take 30 minutes to record all 4 of those. So there's $50 right there, plus your $100 CPM. So what are we at now, Adam?
That'll put us at 150 per
Okay.
episode.
150, that's just for 4 mid-rolls. That's
Yeah.
it. Okay. So let's go even further. You could
Yes.
also add pre-rolls or post-rolls, but I would say, hearing about you twice on a podcast is not going to be as effective as hearing about you on other channels. So what about a newsletter? What about an Instagram video, reel, live, something of you using the product, something like that? So what are some things that you've done? I know you do reels. Let's do a reel. So how
Yeah.
much would you charge a company to do 4 reels for that? So with each mid-roll they buy, they get a reel each week as well. So how much would you charge for 4 reels?
I mean, me personally, probably $50 a reel.
All right. So let's say if you probably have more downloads of them, but $50 is good because it takes a lot of time and effort. So I can't go below $50. I really can't. So then we add 4 reels. So that's another $200 because it's going to take you more time and production effort to create a reel than it is actually to record an ad, to be honest. So that's worth a little bit more. And I'm not talking about how many people are going to see your reels, because right now we're talking about the value of you putting your effort in. So we're at 200 plus 150. So what are we at? 350?
Yep.
We got to get to 500. What else can we offer them? Newsletter, shout outs. That's a good one. Maybe not quite worth as much unless you have a huge following. So how many subscribers does the person with 1,000 downloads have? Do they have a good email list? Maybe they started their business before they started the podcast. So they've got like 10,000 subscribers on their email list. Let's say.
Honestly, that's what we're seeing a lot of times is people, they've got, an email list that's 5 to 10 times what their subscribership is for their show. So yeah, let's do that.
All right. So with emails, you could actually be a little bit more frequent because most people are emailing their list almost daily at this point, if not every other day. So when that email comes out, you'll get the 4 shout outs, but let's give them 8 shout outs because you've got emails coming out all month long. Let's say you've got 15 emails, having half of those, let's say 8, having something about that sponsor is something easy that you can add in and incorporate into your already emails that you're writing. So let's say we're at 350. So how much would 8 emails be worth for 10,000 subscribers? I'm going to let's go with $20 per email. Then I can't do that math, Adam. You got to help me out. So
that's going to put us over the $500 mark for the package. Yep.
All right. So we're over 500. I could whip my calculator out, but you get it. So we just put together a package there in just a couple of minutes, right? So what other things can you offer them? Maybe you're huge on Twitter. I don't know, like go where you have that following or go where you can provide that value. I'm a video production person. I can do this in my sleep. Adam is excellent at Reels. He can do this in his sleep. So what are some things that you're really good at that you can show them? Do you have a trip coming up? Do you have a live stream coming up? Are you doing a podcast or a conference in your industry coming up in online or in person? What can they sponsor there? Do you have a swag bag coming out? Are you doing a giveaway? What other things can they be a part of that you can charge for? We did trips to Italy. They could sponsor an Italian dinner. They could sponsor a wine tasting. They could sponsor a boat ride. When I did my book Food Heals, they could sponsor a chapter of the book so that they could talk about their product or service, of course, only that are in alignment with Food Heals. But think about other ways that they could do a sponsorship package with you. Another thing that I've been doing very successfully is charging for sponsored interviews. So we've all heard that you can charge for an entire interview on the show, but what if instead of breaking for a mid-roll ad, you broke for a 3-minute interview with them? So we've been doing that very successfully, selling monthly packages. You get 2 interviews per month. They're sprinkled through the show. And the reason that they work so well and people don't hit the skip button is because it's almost like going from one interview with your guest. Like if I'm interviewing Adam and then I cut to an interview with my girl Tina from Just Thrive, it's just another interview conversation we're having about health. And so people are much less likely to hit the skip button. So that's another way that you could add in sponsorship ideas. So just think outside the box. And there's so many different ways you can package together. Let's say you get 4 of these at $500 a month. You're making $2,000 a month. I think that's a pretty good place to start. Now, just keep scaling and repeating, like I said. Now, you don't want to overwhelm your audience with too many ads. So what do you do then? You want to have either more episodes or you want to have other streams of income, which I know Adam talks about. So your own products and services and all that jazz. But definitely sponsorship can be an easy way. I would say you can make an easy $2,000 a month on sponsorship, even if you have 500 to 1,000 downloads. It's just finding those right sponsors that are a perfect alignment with your audience, that those 500 to 1,000 people are going to go, yes, I need this product. And so the sponsors are going to come back over and over again. One last point I want to make. You can also ask the sponsor, what's the lifetime customer value? Because companies know this, and it's going to make you sound like a business person, not just a podcaster. Not that there's anything wrong with being just a podcaster, but you're running like your podcast like a business if you're listening to the podcasting business school show with Adam, right? And so you want to ask them that because you might be giving them a client that's going to make them thousands and thousands of dollars every year over their lifetime. Let's say they subscribe to that Athletic Greens or that Organifi. They're making a ton of money off of that one listener. So when you talk about it like that, it's it's kind of a reframe where you go, I'm going to make you a lot of money with these customers. So they're going to see the value in working with you for the long term if your people are buying. So the more creative that you can get with this, and the more in alignment that your sponsors are with your listeners' needs and wants, and solving their pain points and helping them thrive in whatever way it is that you help your listeners thrive in their lives, that is going to lead to repeat sponsors for life. I mean, I get yearly contracts now, no problem. So that's another thing to think about. Most sponsors won't sign up for a year yet, but give them 3 months and show them what you can do with their product or service in 3 months. And then when you perform for them, then you can go and ask for that yearly contract.
Now, another idea to plant out there in your brain region, podcast listeners, is if you have a location-based show, like a city, like you've got a show all about Atlanta called "What's Up Atlanta," and shout out if that exists. But let's say you got a show in Atlanta called "What's Up Atlanta." It's all about things that are happening in Atlanta, the nightlife, the whatever, why it's a great place to be. So that's a location-based show. What I would do is, and I've got clients doing this with success. Like if you're a chiropractor, same thing. Anything that's location-based. So you go, hey, what are local businesses that are buying radio ads? Because those are people that are breaking the bank to buy an ad on a radio, a dying dinosaur advertising method that gets heard if the right person shows up at the exact right time to hear it, and it's just spray and pray, and they're paying way, way, way more than what you're going to charge them for a podcast ad. So when you go to them and go, hey, here's my $500 or $1,000 package, and guess what? This episode that you sponsor, it's always there. And my content is bingeable. So if somebody's listening, finds my show 5 years from now, they're going to hear it. And 10 years from now, they're going to hear it. It's always there. And it's exactly right people that are interested in Atlanta and the people that you want to attract. Their minds are freaking blown because they're like, I'm used to paying $5,000 for 30 seconds on the radio when I can pay $1,000 and have evergreen content to the exact right audience forever. And so that's blowing some people's minds. So maybe think about that. If you have that specific situation, like I've got a client that's got a chiropractic office and he's got a show about, helping his local, people. So he could talk to a local gym that's used to buying radio ads and go, hey, I've got something a little bit better for you that I think would be, that'll bring people through the door. So something else to think about.
Yeah, I think
okay. Miss Allie, now I challenged you when I knew we were setting this up, and I know you're like really dialing in this new brand, this side brand in the sponsorship realm. I go, you got to listen to episode 220 about my podcasting success timeline, and like we got to map this out. So you did it. You got the sponsorship success pipeline, and I want you to run through it because it's amazing. I love it, and it's a great example of one of my friends. Listen, like Allie's like one of my friends that actually listens to what I have to say, I think. So I want to use this as a shining example. So let's bust through your sponsorship success pipeline real quick.
So I did learn this from Adam. Shout out to you. And basically you were teaching us to take the potential client go on the journey with them and understand exactly where they are so that you can help them get to the next stage or phase. So I thought about this and I was like, well, this totally exists for sponsorship. And it's kind of like the steps we just went through. But I created 4 phases based on what you taught us, that I call 4 phases of the sponsorship success pipeline. So if you were to work with me together, what we would do was identify where you are along the pipeline, and then I would guide you easily step by step to the finish line, to your sponsorship success. So phase 1 is just doing a situation evaluation. So that's when you're like, new podcast, who dis? Like you have a show, you're launching a show, and sponsorship could be an option for you because you have an amazing topic, but you got to work on audience growth and cultivating those super fans. You're worried you don't have enough downloads or podcast listeners to get sponsors, but you have all these brands in your mind that would be perfect for your show, but you don't know where to start. So then I take you through how to start, right? I would take you through some of those steps we talked about earlier, getting clarity on your messaging, understanding your ideal listener, focus on solving their pain points and growing your audience will become a byproduct of that, right? Which will lead us to phase two. Maybe you're in the compensation conversation. You have an audience, you're ready for sponsorship, but you don't know how to go about pitching. We talked about this earlier, right? You're ready to create that stunning sponsorship deck. You're ready to create that pitch. You are nurturing those relationships and you're ready to go, but you're just not sure how to get there. You don't have you don't have the understanding of adding to the conversations and tagging them on social media. You're scared of the rejected emails. You don't want to send the cold emails. So again, that's when we're going to start with building relationships with potential sponsors. We're going to start building that sponsorship deck, which will lead us to phase three. Phase three is when we get into monetization realization. That is when you've built your sponsorship deck, you've cultivated some of those relationships we talked about earlier. You might have even booked some sponsors, and now you need a system in place to systematize your process. You can sit back, record the ads, and collect the money. So you started doing really well, right? You're getting sponsors, but you're overwhelmed. So it's time to delegate. Let someone else take over for you. So then that's when you're going to start systematizing your workflow by creating those training videos I talked about, hiring a VA, and maybe even signing with an agency. Then you're at stage or phase four, delegation and delegation and systemization. You've now got that dedicated audience who loves to buy the products and services you sell. You have relationships with sponsors that are growing. You're starting to get more and more sponsors. People are reaching out to you. Now you've got a system in place because you hired that VA. You got over your perfectionism and you go, okay, I can let someone else do this, right? So you're in the final step, and that is systemizing and delegating so that you can scale and repeat, which leads us to the bonus phase 5, which is monetization, delegation, and systemization, graduation. You've come a long way, baby. Time to reap the rewards. Now, I made this based on Adam's teaching, so I thought you would appreciate some of those.
I love it. So let's go a little meta here. Like, I know a lot of you out there have a process, right? And the way I teach developing an ideal listener journey is, okay, you take that process. Those are the check marks that we check off in each phase that you create on this journey. So Allie created this 4-phase journey, and she gave you the pain points of each phase, and her process is the checklist to go to the next phase. Like, that's exactly what I love about this. And hopefully a lot of you are having like aha moments, because what I was doing is like, I'm there. That's where I'm at. Or I know a lot of you are going, I'm in phase 2, or I'm in phase 1. And like, you automatically try to place yourself there. And that's the beauty of this concept, is it makes it crystal clear where you're at, why you're at where you're at, and how to get to the next step, and who's going to help you. And speaking of that, Allie's got some stuff. She's got a lot of good things. She's got the new show, but you also have a membership. So let's dive in. If people are like, yeah, I need to walk hand in hand with Allie along this journey, along this path that she just mapped out. How are we doing that?
Sure. Well, there's lots of ways to work with me, but I'll simplify it into 2 ways. If you are a self-starter and you just want all the information and you want to watch it in video form, step by step, and have me walk you through it, you've identified where you are, what phase you're at, and you're like, okay, I just need to get to the next phase to get to the next phase to get to the next phase. I walk you through every single phase, everything, every single step in the Podcast Sponsorship Academy. So all you would do is you would log in and you would watch the videos, you'd take it step by step, and you would do all of it yourself. DIY, baby. And Adam has some amazing courses in the Sponsorship Academy as well. So that's just a bonus, as you got me, you got Adam, you got some other amazing people in the show. Let me see if okay, so we've got Adam's guest masterclass is how to create unskippable ads, how to create compelling, unskippable ads your sponsors and listeners will love. We've got PR for podcasters with our girl Laura Powers, how to get featured in media, booked on TV, and get press for your podcast. We've got how to create more impact, influence, and income with your podcast with Whitney Lauritsen. I teach you exactly how to build your deck in Canva. We've got another bonus with you, Adam and Whitney, on how to grow your audience. Another bonus with Adam is Lead Generation 101, the secret formula for creating community engagement lead magnets. So we've got all kinds of stuff in the Academy. So if you want to just DIY it, we've got the Academy set up for you. If you want to work with me, just DM me on Instagram at Allison Melody TV, and we'll set up a call and we'll see what phase you're at and how I can help you.
Oh, Allie Melody. Okay. I can't let you escape. I've been asking everybody this question, and just to I love to explain to my audience exactly what's happening. So what I've been doing at the end of my expert interviews now, you'll notice I'm asking people, like, if they had to start their show over, what are some focus points that what they would do, or if they're launching a new show. And she is launching a new show, so this is gonna be perfect. But what I'm doing, I have another show called Podcast Launch Tips, and I cut that segment, and that's an episode of Podcast Launch Tips. So it's like a 2-for-1 interview where she gets exposure on both shows, and it's great content for both shows. So now that that's explained, Allie Melody she is the sponsorship queen. She's got a show called Food Heals, but she's also got a brand new show, the Sponsorship Scoop. So you are launching the Sponsorship Scoop. What are you going to do differently with this show as you launch that, as you promote it? Or what are you going to do the same as you did with Food Heals? Like, what worked, what didn't work? What kind of tweaks are you going to make here as we finalize our thoughts here today?
The number one thing that worked with Food Heals that I am also doing with the Sponsorship Scoop is hosting a giveaway. And the number one thing I would do differently is when I launched Food Heals, I didn't have a call to action to get people to join my email list. And so with the Sponsorship Scoop, I will have multiple ways for them to do that with lots of amazing freebies, like what I've offered your audience at foodhealsnation.com/get sponsored, those free sponsorship templates so they can download and get everything they need to create their own decks in Canva, in PowerPoint, etc. So what I did right was the giveaway. This is a great way to build relationships with potential sponsors in the future, as well as get your audience super engaged. So with a giveaway, what you're going to do is you're going to collect a bunch of products and put them in a swag bag, or digital services, maybe discounts on services or free trials on services, and put them in a digital swag bag. And you're going to offer people to enter the giveaway. You can do this at the top of your show, probably at the end of your show as well. And you incentivize them to take action to rate and review your show. So when people go and they review your show, they can post it to social media and tag you, and then they can be entered to win that giveaway. So what is this doing? This is creating super fans, because the people who win those giveaways are like your soul tribe for life. They're like, she said my name on the show, she emailed me this thing, or she mailed me the swag bag, or whatever. They are your super fans. You're also creating relationships with brands that you can leverage in the future for sponsorship, because then you're giving them all these free shout outs, all these organic shout outs from yourself and from the winners. And then you're getting those reviews. Those are highly coveted reviews that we want to get on our shows when we launch. Podcasters love reviews, and that's just one way to get them, is to incentivize your listeners to take action. And it works, because like for me, I'm not a Yelper. I don't go and review my food. It's just not my thing. But if the restaurant was like, hey, Allie, I'm going to give you a free meal in exchange for doing a review, I'd be like, how do I sign up for
Let's
Yelp
go
right now? Exactly. And so you're just incentivizing them to do something nice for you that they would have done anyways if they are your super fans. It's also going to super social media. So people are hearing like, oh, my friend Kathy says Food Heals is a great show. What the heck is that? And then they might go listen. You might create another super fan. So a giveaway is definitely something I recommend for all podcasters when starting out, and to do once a year, twice a year. It's really just a great way to keep those relationships up and going. And then the second thing, to answer your question, that I am doing differently this time, is when I started Food Heals, I knew I was supposed to have a call to action, but I was so busy with the giveaway, I wasn't getting anyone. I didn't start an email list for 3 months, man.
Oh,
And I
man.
know, yeah, and I know, I probably missed out on a lot of things I could do, but I was just so excited to start the show. And I had never done a show before, and now that I have, and I'm 6 years in, and I've coached hundreds of podcasters to get their show started, I know what to do. And definitely having a call to action on the show to get people engaging with your email list, because I love Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, but their algorithms change. They could disappear tomorrow. So you want to have your audience somewhere that you can always reach them, and that's with your email list. So definitely having a way, so offer them something of value, a free course, a free training. I'm offering you guys free Canva templates, whatever it might be. Then you're on my email list, and I'm going to share with you once in a while, and hopefully you stick around. So that's what I would do differently.
Now, with like the swag bag giveaway, let's add a bonus tip on like how many of those are you giving away? Like so I know some people go buck wild and be like, I'm gonna send out 100 of these things. And then they're like, damn, that's a lot of work. And I spent a lot of money shipping those suckers out. Like, what's a good starting number for you? That'll be like, this is attractive enough, but it's not like we're giving away one swag bag, or maybe that does work. I don't know. What are your thoughts there?
We always started with 10 swag bags. Since then, I've done about 5 to 10, depending on how much product I was able to get from sponsors. Or when I was moving out of California to Florida, I had to clear out my swag closet. So I just put as many as I could into bags, right? And so maybe that was 7, I don't remember. But I would say having one may not be enough. Even if it's Amazon gift card, having one may not be enough because most people will think, oh, there's no way I'm going to win. But if there's 10 chances to win, it's much more likely that they could win that, whether it's digital or physical swag bag. They're more likely to win, so they're more likely to enter. So I would say 10 is a good place. 100, I would never do. That's so much work. And I'm not trying to spend money with these things, right? I'm trying to just work on my audience growth. And so the only cost that I want to have involved is that shipping cost. And so 10 is reasonable, but more than that really isn't. You don't want to put too much money into it. So I would say 5 to 10 is probably a great place to start. And if it's digital and it's free, maybe offer a little bit more, since all you have to do is email them a link to all their discounts. You could do a little more than 10.
Yeah, and it's amazing, people. Like, people will go crazy. Here's a good example. I did a giveaway where it was like a $500 coaching package with me. Crickets. I give away a t-shirt. Everybody wants it. Like people love the simple things, like the swag bag, the t-shirt, a shout out on the show. They'll go crazy over that. So don't overthink it. Don't give away your stuff that people should be paying for. Keep it simple, keep it fun, keep it light. And I think you'll have great results. So Hallie Melody, we just crank out content several times a year, but it's always good. Like this, like, I feel like this is a fresh conversation on a topic that we've talked about before. And we covered things that we've never covered before. So this is awesome. You're one of my favorite absolute podcasters, one of my best friends. I appreciate you. I learned so much every time that we talk. So thank you for joining us here today on the show.
Oh, well, back at your times 1,000. I'm so grateful for you. I love having conversations like this. I always learn so much from your show as well. Thank you so much for having me. It's good to see all of the pod pals.
All right, everybody, we gave you a lot to think about. I know that you are hot on the idea of getting your show sponsored. Now you know a little bit more about what that's going to take. You've got a specific process. You know where you stand on that sponsorship success pipeline, and all the rhyming that she did. I was impressed with just the linguistics that she put out there.
I learned from watching you.
I'm like, I wouldn't tackle that. I'm from Indiana. I'd be tripping all over that. So now you know where you're at, why you're at where you're at, and what you need to do to go to the next phase. And Allie can help you. So tag her in if that makes sense. And we gave you a lot to think about either way. All right, pod pals, I appreciate you. Thank you for supporting the show. And as always, I will send you out into the world wishing you health, happiness, and many downloads. We will see you next time.